Hello everyone, this is Mr. E again, and this lesson is about dividing a decimal by a decimal. We've done multi-digit division, we've done a decimal by a whole number. Now let's expand into decimal by a decimal. Let's get started. So we've looked at how to divide a decimal by a whole number. If you remember, we just bring up our decimal place to our quotient, and then we divide like a whole number. So we already had that answer from the previous lesson, 0 and 23 thousandths. But let's say we have a decimal in our divisor now. The key is you cannot divide with a decimal in your divisor. You have to make it into a whole number. So what does that look like? Well, if I have two decimal places in my divisor, I have to move it over 2 times. That would give me 46. But if I move it over 2 times in my divisor, I also have to move it over 2 times in my dividend, which would give me 105 and 8/10. Again, no decimal in divisor. So in this case, I had 2 decimals in my divisor, decimal places. So I moved it over 1, 2. I have to move this one over also 1, 2 times. And so now I basically have a different problem. So now we're going to divide 105 and 8/10 by 46, which is the same as dividing 1 and 58 thousandths by 46 hundredths. I just move it twice here. I move it twice here. Then I just bring up my decimal and I divide like it was whole division. So I get 9. I'm sorry, don't get 9. I get 2. That's 92. 13. I check. I bring down 8. 3, 1, 3, 8. So you see they're very similar. Here's my answer is 2 and 3/10. Here's my answer is 0 and 23 thousandths. The only difference is where the decimal place is in my answer. Again, I cannot have a decimal in my divisor. I have to move it. Let's look at a few more. Here's the steps. Move the decimal to make it a whole number in your divisor. Move the decimal and dividend in the same number of places. Move your decimal up to the quotient and divide like you would a whole number. Sounds like a lot, but it's really not. No decimal in your divisor. Oops, wrong order. All right, so I have 465 and 5/10 divided by 9 and 8/10. No decimal in my divisor. I'm going to move this over 1 time. So now I have 98. If I moved it once here, I have to move it once here. So now I have 4, 6, 5, 5. I'm going to put another 0 just in case. Okay, I believe we've seen this problem before. So we're going to bring up our decimal and be very careful when we put our number. So 9, 98. There are no 98s in 4, 46. There are in 465. So we're going to put our number right about here, not number 1. That's where it's going above the 5. So I don't remember what that was. I think it was, what, about 5? Let's try 5. 98. I believe it was actually 4. So 98 times 4, 2, 32, 36, 39. So we put the 4 above the 5. Because we don't want to have it in the wrong place, it'll throw off our answer. 3, 16, 7. 73 is less than 98, so I bring down. Let's try 98 times 7. 8 times 7 is 56, 63, 68, 7, 6, 8, 6. That gives us 15. So that's 9. 12 is 4. 490. And I think that's half of 980. So that's probably going to be 5. So let's try 8 times 5, 40. 45, 49. So our answer is 47 and a half. 47 and a half. I think if you look back at the other answer, it's similar, except the decimal's in a different place. All right, let's do one more. So I have 53 8/10 divided by 2 hundredths. I cannot have a decimal in my divisor, so I'm going to move this over 1 2 times. That leaves me with the 2. But if I move it 2 to the right in my divisor, I have to move it 2 to the right in my dividend. Now watch this. I go 1, I go 2. I have to put a 0 there. So I have 5 3 8 0. Now I could put another 0 here, but it probably won't be worth it, because if it has a 0 in the ones place, we know I can divide by 2. So, but I'll put it there anyway. So I have, does McDonald's serve cheeseburgers? 2 times 2 is 4. I subtract. 1's less than 2. Bring down. 6. 12. 1's less than 2. I can bring down. 9. Now guys, you see I have my 2 above my 5, my 6 above my 3, my 9 above my 8. I come down here and I get an 18. Do not stop and say my answer is 269. I still have to work with that 0. I bring down that 0. There are no 2's in 0. My answer is 2690. Again, that's why it's so important for you to put your numbers on top, and your numbers in the quotient on top of your dividend, and also to make sure you bring up your decimal in the right place. So my answer is 2690. Why is that? Well, because 2/10 is so small. There's 2,000 of them in 58. All right, so that's 6 minutes. I'm going to stop here, and we'll do some more on the other side.